habits are hard to break. It's challenging. One, to pick up on that, and two, to actually manage that. It was enough to get him through the season, which is what his goal was. And then he put more time into it once in the off-season. This is one of the exercises I have him do. He was actually stepping onto a box when he was doing this as well. But starting position, retract, shoulder blades together and down, middle and lower traps going, which shuts down a little bit more the upper traps, and serratus fires as well as he goes into abduction. Basketball athlete plays guard, right-handed. I had him do it on both sides because he rarely does things with his left, so I started having him do stuff on his left side. Okay. Questions? Fantastic. Let's divide it into your 4 groups. So Mount Royal State, STS, and University of Calgary. Let's have a couple of the University of Calgary, 2 people from University of Calgary buddy with STS, and another 2 buddy with State. So it's a little bit more even. Okay. So let's split into 4 groups. We'll have 1 group in the back corner, 2 groups in the back corners, and 2 up here.
3 of us.
1 model.
Where's it back here?
In your group. Okay, hold on 1 second. So, if you guys are done, sit in your groups, talk about what you thought you saw, and then compare what you found with your ASIS. And then, after that, if the models have any pathologies, please let your partners know. Because some of the stuff that they found might be related to something that's happened to them in the past. And it'd be good to start linking those things together. Okay, so we'll give you about 5 or 10 minutes to just chat among your groups and see what you saw. And if you're not sure if there's a discrepancy, just compare notes and maybe look at the model one more time to see, to confirm it. Okay? First of all, just a thank you for the models. I know it's always hard the first time that you guys kind of take your stuff off and turn it to everybody else. So just think of it, you're getting free treatment. So we appreciate it. And at some point, everyone's going to be a model for someone else. So I think Mark does this in this. He used to do this. I don't know if he still does it because he doesn't teach in the fall anymore. Like the first day of class, he just has everybody sitting in their underwear. The whole class. Just sit there, take notes. Just eat your food, put your feet up on the table. Just whatever. But it gets people really comfortable. Okay. As a model, for the first time in front of everybody, it does feel a little weird, right? Like, just at the beach. Sure, minus the sand and the umbrella, but it is a little bit, it could be uncomfortable, but for the models, you need to recognize that that's the same type of emotions that go through your patients sometimes when you first ask them to take their shirt off. They're thinking the same thing you are. Okay, so just consider that, and be respectful of that. So I'm glad you guys saw some stuff. We actually had some good, I was listening to some of the conversations, and they were fantastic. One, that the majority of the people in the group saw the same thing. So I'm hoping that you are now trusting your eyes. Okay? Because a lot of times what I've seen is people will do this and like, I don't know, well, just tell me what you think. But they're really hesitant in like being confident in saying it. And that's okay, it does take practice, but the fact that other people are confirming it, I hope does help. The other thing is, you guys saw what you saw. Now the next piece of that is, what does all that mean? So I was listening to Tristan's group, and Lionel said the one shoulder blade's in a little bit more. With Dylan's group, he was side bent a little bit, and his neck was this way. And so you see this stuff, but what does that mean? You guys saw one ASIS lower than the other. From the side view, one was lower than the other. Now what does all that mean? We'll just take one example because we can go on forever about this. But hopefully I'll give you a concept that you'll find in Kendall's book, and that's what I was talking about. The whole posture chapter is fantastic, and he talks about this all the time. Is that muscles are typically in 2 states. Essentially, they're tight or they're relaxed, right? And habitually, things that are tight will stay tight and tend to shorten. And when that happens, it'll pull the bones as well. How many of you have ever set up a volleyball net on the beach? Okay, so like you guys know, you can't just put the poles in the ground, right? It's a fine balance between the poles and the cables that you use. And if the cables are too tight, the things aren't going to stand right? Unless you dig like a 5-foot hole and put the pole in, then you're fine. But nowadays, from what I remember, the poles themselves, they just sit right on top of the sand, And it's the cables that hold the poles upright. Those poles are your bones. The cables are your muscles. So if you take two of those cables and pull really, really tight, the bones are going to be off a little bit. And that's what happens when your ASIS is one way or the other. That could happen. So let's just say, I'll give you an example. Let's just say I'm standing like this. And you notice that on my right side, my ASIS is low and my PSIS is up, which is my ischial tuberosity is going to be up as well. So everything's this way. Some things are going to be tight, some things are going to be long. Now remember I said, anatomy physiology is the backbone of everything that you do. You need to know that. You need to have a firm grasp of that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to figure things out. So why would this be this way? What muscles are pulling my ASIS down, and which ones are letting go in the back to allow it to go up? What do you think? What's pulling down in the front? Think about what attaches on the front of your ilium that will pull this down. IT band, possibly, because that attaches to TFL, which attaches to the iliac crest and all of these other structures over here. Sartorius attached to ASIS. What's another muscle that attaches to something up here?
Rectum.
Rectum attaches where?
PSIS.
Not ASIS, the one below it.
PSIS.
PSIS in fact.
Oh, I mean, AIS.
Anterior inferior axon. So those things could all be tight. There are special tests to determine which one's tight between sartorius and rectus femoris to determine which one you need to work on as a therapist. Quad stretches, maybe. Hip flexor stretches, maybe. So what is shutting down in the back that's allowing you to release to let the PSIS go up? What attaches onto these things to pull it down? Not so much PSIS, but let's say ischial tuberosity. Hamstrings could be weak. So how do we fix that? Stretch. Strengthen. That's how that relates to your rehab. That's all from your observations. We did not confirm anything with muscle testing yet, but we could. But take that idea, and instead of looking at it from an anterior-posterior imbalance, think of it as maybe for like someone like Dylan, you said you had scoliosis. Think about from a right to left perspective. If he's standing like this, one area of his body is going to be tight, one area is going to be stretched and weak. So that gives you information on what you can do for this person to correct that, or try to correct that. Okay? Kendall has a fantastic chapter on that whole concept. You can use that concept for any part of the body. Okay? So that was observations. You can do the same thing with gait as well. So when you saw the basketball player walk, again, things to point out. When things fire, when they don't, why is he hiked up? Those types of things. Okay? So we're not going to do that right now, but what we're going to do is have lunch. So I'll give you guys 20 minutes to grab food and come back, take a break, refresh. When you come back, we'll start with active range of motion.